Welcome to the 2021 virtual Harvest Festival de Récolte. We are so pleased to see you again. We hope that you enjoy this selection of clips that highlight some of the demonstrators and artisans that we welcome to the museum each fall. We look forward to seeing you again soon in person on the museum grounds. Enjoy the presentation.
Hi, I'm Pat Taylor. I'm a volunteer blacksmith and board member for the Glengarry Pioneer Museum. This is one of the things that we're working on today. This is going to be for a 19th or 18th century trade gun. It's a smooth bore. It's a double as a fowling piece and a game rifle. You can load a buck or ball in there. This has been partially welded through here. These all the gun barrels made during the 18th century generally started out as a flat plate like this. And the edges were upset along here to thicken them, like that, and then folded into a U, like this. And then you start welding them by bringing it up to just below burning temperature in the fire, the coal fire, and welding these edges together. You start in the center and you go this way, and then you turn around and come back that way. You get about an inch per heat.
My name's Lori Moss. We're here at Hawk Hill Farm. We've been here since 1997, and since that time we've also been involved with the Glengarry Pioneer Museum, which is within walking distance of our farm here in Dunvegan. We've been breeding partridge chanticleers for a number of years. The main goal of our farm is to conserve and preserve heritage breeds of livestock. So the partridge chanticleer is one of the breeds that we breed. We've got this small flock. They're fairly old birds right now, but we've also got some chicks that we hatched out this year. And we're expanding our program to include multiple bloodlines so that we can preserve the breed and the genetic diversity within the breed. The first breed that we started with when we came here was the Canadian horse. They opened up this country, especially in eastern Canada and Quebec. They were used for riding, for driving, for workhorses. They were the dominant horse in eastern Canada for opening it up. So they've been here since the 1600s. Unfortunately, this breed is in huge decline. There's probably less than 300 or 400 foals registered a year.
What we have here are Tunis sheep. They're probably one of the only North American breeds of sheep, or domestic breeds of sheep, and they're probably one of the oldest. They were initially came into North America in the late 1790s. Some people say it was a gift from the Bay of Tunis. Others say it was reparations for war. They were brought into the United States, and then they were bred with some of the sheep that were around, and this was the breed that resulted. They were probably the most common sheep in the northeast of the United States, and most likely in Canada too, although there isn't a lot of evidence for it, up until the U.S. Civil War. And after the Civil War, or during the Civil War, unfortunately, they ate most of them. The armies ate most of them, and they almost became extinct. There was essentially only one flock left, as far as we can gather, and then they never did come back to their popularity that they had prior to that. Now there's probably maybe 4,000 animals in all of North America, or basically all of the world.
Hi, my name is Louise LeBlanc-Mazer from the Twistle Guild.
I'm Lori Moss. I'm a farmer, I'm a shepherd, and I'm a spinner. So I'm drawing the wool out. And this is actually known as worsted spinning. And this has been carded wool, so you can see there's still a lot of lumps and bumps and things like that in it. The wool spins and then it is drawn in onto the bobbin. So this is a single ply. If you want multiple plies, like 2-ply or 3-ply, you would fill a number of bobbins. I'm going clockwise with this wheel. For a 2-ply, you would join the two separate pieces of yarn together and go counterclockwise. And this is actually reasonably fast. I can spin quite a bit in a few hours. And unlike pioneer times, I was well into my 60s when I learned how to do this.
And what I'm spinning with is called the drop spindle. And this would have been used before the spinning wheel was invented. And it's basically the same process as Lori was explaining earlier, where I would spin the spindle clockwise and I'm drafting out the wool, and it's adding the spin to the strand to create a single, which will later be doubled up counterclockwise to make a 2-ply yarn.
Today I'm going to show you how to start by hand a 1928 Ford Model A. Now these cars were produced from late 1927 to 1931, almost 1932. This one specifically was a Canadian-made car, made in Windsor. And you can tell the main difference between a US car and a Canadian car by the color of the enamel crest. In here, the Ford crest on a Canadian car is almost black, really dark blue, whereas a US car is blue, a bit more like the color of the rest of the car. This was, I'll go over another common urban legend, if you will, a myth. Many people say, oh, is that the car? That mustn't have been the original color, because Fords only came in black. Well, not quite. In the mid-production of the Ford Model T, which came before the Model A, black enamel paint was the only paint that would dry fast enough for Henry's assembly line to produce optimally how he wanted it. Later, paint technology improved and they came out to be able to offer many colors. This specifically is Niagara Blue in this Model A. So, this car has an electric start on the floor with a button. But in the case your battery dies, for example, you can still start it by hand. That was a practice carried over into the mid-30s and even into the 40s. So the important thing in this era is to have your spark control set to retarded, a technical term. At the bottom is advanced. That means when you're firing, it gets just before the top. Just after the top, bing, then it fires, so it definitely cranks forward. When you're running at full speed, your spark is advanced and it goes up to the top. This is the piston. Pow, just before it gets to the top, then it fires. That allows it to run more efficiently, burn the fuel more effectively. So as long as the spark control is set to retarded, which means after top dead center of the engine, it will always fire in the right way. If it's set to advanced by mistake or mis-setting the points, it can backfire, kick back, and break your arm depending on how you hold it or if it's set wrong. So I'll show you how to start a Model A. I've turned the key on, made sure it's out of gear, and the handbrake is engaged. Flip the hole out of the way here, the little cover. Put the crank in. It engages a ratchet mechanism so it can only turn one way. And there it goes. Next I'm going to show you the starting process for a 1936 McCormick Deering tractor. Tractors such as that and cars such as this would have been commonplace in this corner of the world all the way from the late 1920s into the mid 1950s, even into the 1960s, when farms would still use them. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching our video. We hope to see you soon at the Glengarry Pioneer Museum for the Fall Festival.